Alright, we got a fucking sick main event and we got a fucking sick UFC fight night card. Let me just that here at the weekend. But I ain't gonna lie, yeah. I am fucking dying with sickness and I have not been this sick in fucking years. And I see a few WMA fights that I need to get off my chest. But it is actually a very solid card. You know how this works. Quick fire predictions up until fights we actually care about. I need to sneeze. Um, Curtis Blades, Rafael Fiziev, Jamahal Hill are kind of the three main ones I want to talk about. But there is a sleeper banger on this card. Ovin Elliott. But before we can get on to the Welshman, we need to get into the first fight. Let me just adjust my... Put it up here. So, the first fight that we're going to be talking about today, Muhammad Usman. He is kind of like just known as Kamaru Usman's brother. Like, I don't really like saying that about fighters, but it's kind of true. And he's going to be taking on Hamdi Adewalba. Abdulwaba. I always say that the second name wrong. Muhammad Usman, like, he's got good skills. He's got decent level striking, and he's got enough grappling. But I've seen Hamdi a few times, and he's got like better kind of hands. He's Muhammad Usman isn't exactly the biggest heavyweight I've ever seen. Like, he wouldn't be anywhere near the level of a Tom Aspinall. He'd be more kind of like a Derek Lewis or like a Jorginho Rosenstrike kind of build. And I feel like if you're at heavyweight, I just don't think you could be outsized in a matchup. And I think he's outsized in this matchup. So I feel like Muhammad Usman's going to lose 29-28 via decision. I think he might be able to get the first or second round, but I feel like he might just lose the last two. Or kind of just, I think he'll lose the third anyway. But next up, we have Tagar Ukambov versus Azat Maxim. I'm gonna go with Tigri on this one. Flyweight fight. This is actually gonna be a good scrap. It's a really good card. This I actually really like it. It's in Azerbaijan, which is a really weird location to have this. I remember there was like rumors Jamal Hill wasn't gonna be able to travel out because of like the whole Israel and Iran shit. I don't know how true those rumors were, but we have a fucking sick fight here. I'm gonna be going Tiger. I think he's a little bit too slicker on there. Like flyweights are so entertaining to watch, man. Flyweights might be my favorite uh weight class to watch overall. Like it probably doesn't have the name value or kind of stylistic matchups, but I feel like a lot of flyweights just come to scrap, and I feel like Tiger's gonna get this one done. I feel like he'll get this one done via decision. As that he's not exactly. I haven't seen too much of him, but I have seen he hasn't been great. He's pretty decent though. He could win, but yeah, I'm gonna go with Tiger on this one. Now, here we go. It was bound to fucking get me, man. This sickness isn't gonna fucking kill me. Irina Alexieva, which is, I'm gonna be going with Irina on this one. Listen, we all know women's fights. They just are fucking kind of trash. They're just kind of trash. I'm sorry to say it, but they're, we haven't had a good WMA fight in so fucking long. And I just, they just such snooze fests, bro. That camera shook as I said that. They're such fucking snooze fests, okay? We haven't had Rose Namajunas at the weekend. That's probably where my fucking illness came from, watching that lump of shit. Um, but they're just such boring scraps. Let's be fucking real here when we're talking. When is the last time we had an insane WMA fight? I will wait. The only one I can think of was Alexa Grasso versus Shevchenko won when Shevchenko lost, but that was just hype because Shevchenko lost. Amanda Nunes versus Juliana Penny 2 was hype because Nunes lost. When is the last time we had just a barn burner scrap everyone, the whole MMA community is talking about? We just don't get them. We just don't get them. And I'm not fucking holding out for this matchup anyway, bro. Jesus, they just are such drag sometimes. Oh, and we have another one here. We have Melissa Mullins versus Daria Zik. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that second name. Zesilanskva. Listen, I don't know anything about Melissa Mullins apart from that she's got kind of an overall skill set. Like I've seen a few of her fights. I've seen her kind of on the regional scene sometimes too when she was coming up. She'll definitely get this one done. She'll get this one done via decision. Another pointless fucking fight. Now, we actually have a decent enough scrap here. We have Ismail Nardarov versus Jung Young Park. I'm going to be going Jungyeon Park on this one. We're just nearly at my boy Owen Elliott, but I'm going with Jungyeon Park on this one. Shit, my bad. I feel like he has decent enough hands, and I feel like he'll be able to knock him out. It's a decent enough scrap. Not like there's not much really to be said here. He's got good hands. You know, he's got kind of a well-rounded skill set. But middleweight's in a kind of a, or sorry, I feel like middleweight is in a bit of a situation now where like you have Dricus versus Hamzat, but Dricus Super C could easily be moving up next time. Next time he fights. You know, Nassim Imavov versus Brauho is probably going to be next. If I'm Imavov, I'm just kind of like sitting and waiting for my title shot. From being honest with you, I think he's completely earned it. You know, Brauho hasn't really earned it. Who did he last fight? Jared Cannonier or some shit. I can't remember who. I think it was Cannonier. He beat him well and all, but like if I'm Imavov, I've chinned Adesanya in the second round. I'm sitting exactly where I am, and I am not moving because he clearly deserves the title shot. Okay, I don't really see a point in him fighting Brauho. I don't really see Imavov beating Dracus. He does not have good gas tank. And Brendan Allen, you know, if he had any bit about him, would have beat him in France, but he didn't. But yeah, back to this fight. I'm gonna go with Jung Young Park on this one. I'll go with him. You know, probably getting him out in the first or second round. Now we have my boy Owen Elliott, and he's going to be taking on Seong Ko. Seong Ko. I'm picking Owen Elliott. I'm picking Owen Elliott, of course. I've been watching Owen Elliott for fucking years because I remember he was on a Cage Warriors card, like where I'm from, and I was gonna go see him, but I ended up not going. But there was kind of like I've been watching him since the Contender Series. Like I've watched him in Cage Warriors and shit like that. I'm watching this guy for years, and he's got a very good skill set. This dude's hunger level always kind of like inspired me, if I'm being honest with you. Like I always kind of thought Owen Elliott. I always looked at him. I was like, you were like probably one of the least talented people in the room, but you just like refuse to stop. That's honestly what I feel like Owen Elliott, which is fucking savage and it inspires me. But I also kind of get to that stage where you're going to be facing people who are the same, but just have that bit of talent. Do you know what I'm saying? Like he's in welterweight now. If he came up against someone like a Shavkat or someone like that, obviously he has way more to go. Like he has to get through like even like a Neil Magny or something like that. Um, but I feel like when Owen Elliott really comes into the division, which I do think he will come into that division, I feel like he'll kind of run into like pillars along the way, which is shit to see because I really fucking like Owen Elliott. I am picking him to get this one done via the weekend. I'm gonna go into Owen Elliott getting this one done via decision. He doesn't have too many finishes on his record, so I'm not gonna hold it out for Owen Elliott to get this one done. But I am gonna be picking Owen Elliott via decision on that one. Right, we got the prelims out of the way. Next up, we have Mohamed Namov versus Bogdan Grad. I remember this Bogdan geezer. I remember this Bogdan geezer. He honestly he looks like fucking Bateson. Big up Bateson. If you know who Bateson is, he's a FIFA YouTuber. So if you don't fucking know, how about you fucking look it up? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This card is so good, but I'm fucking dead. But I'm trying to make this into something, so we're gonna roll with it. I am going to be going with Mohammed Naimov. Listen, I don't really need to say anymore. Bogdan's in there to kind of fill up a nice little main card opener spot. He's not in there to win. The UFC sure as hell did not give him this fight to win. I can guarantee you that. So I'm going to be going with Mohammed Naimov via first round finish on that one. Next up, we have Nazmin Sakov versus Nicholas Mota. I'm going to be going Nazmin on this one. Nicholas Mota is pretty good though. He's got decent enough hands, but I feel like Nasman's going to run through him on this one. To be honest with you, this is kind of another one of those fights where I feel like I feel like a lot of these kind of like good fight night cards, they definitely have like people. I honestly think it's like the England cards. You have people like the Nathaniel Wood. You have people like those kind of people. Like even Jordan Vucenic lost to Chris Junkin, but before that, like Jai Herbert was on there. Molly McCann, Paddy Pimblett. It had these names that were there just to win. Do you know what I mean? Like their whole thing on the card was to pick up a nice little victory and get the crowd going and fill the spots and get their friends coming out. They'd sell a few tickets. Nathaniel Wood's always on the London cards. He never ever fights on any other card. I think the last card he fought on that wasn't in the UK was like a year and a half ago, and he got absolutely brutally robbed on the not Oliveira versus Makachev 2, the Volk versus Makachev 2 card. I remember that was robbery, but I feel like matchups like this are kind of just there to fill the card, which I'm not totally mad at because some of them can be absolute bangers. So yeah, I'll go with that one. Next up, we have Mikita over Orlov versus Tofi Musabi. Listen, I'm gonna go Mitika like on this one. Mitibek, Kazakhstan, absolute fucking beast. This dude is literally the king, one of the kings of violence. I always love watching this bloke fight. I don't know much about his opponent, to be honest with you. He's a blank face. This is a lamb to the slaughter kind of a matchup. This is a fucking lamb to the slaughter, okay? Um, he's just a king of violence. And I really like seeing this guy fight. You always see the kind of like photos of him. Just he looks like a bit of a robot. He just looks like a bit of a robot. The odds aren't there, but I would be imagining he is a massive fucking favorite in this one. So I'm gonna go him on that one. Next up, we have Curtis Blades versus Rizanov Kuniev. Listen, I think it's quite stupid not to pick Curtis Blades in this fight. I feel like Curtis Blades gets kind of like a bad rep. Not a bad rep, but like, how are you giving him Curtis Blades? I'm pretty sure this is his debut. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not 100% sure on that, so don't quote me. But this dude is not deep in the rankings. Like, he's not even ranked. I'm picking Curtis Blades. I think Curtis Blades is criminally underrated. You get chinned by Tom Aspinall. Wow. Who doesn't get chinned by Tom Aspinall? It's just a fact. Or get submitted by Tom Aspinall. I think Curtis Blades, I don't know. I was really kind of like worried for Tom when he was fighting Curtis. I was like, oh shit, this is a fucking saucy matchup here. And Tom was able to get it done in a very impressive style in Manchester. But Curtis Blades is right there, man. Curtis Blades is right there. He holds winning against like Volkov, Rosenstrike, Jailton Almeida. He finished Jailton Almeida in literally the first exchange that these boys went on. I think Curtis Blades is fucking really, really good. I think he's got great power in his hands. You just don't really see it. You just kind of see him like razor blades on top with the elbow. I remember he headlined against Dawkins, and I remember he was landing some of the most vicious elbows I have seen. And I remember just thinking, holy fuck, I am so glad I'm not getting demolished by them. And Dawkins was like just an overblown middleweight, but he kept getting like big matchups. It made no fucking sense. Like he just kept getting big matchups, and the heavyweight division right now needs Curtis Blades in it. I feel like Curtis Blades versus Cyril Gann. That's a matchup. That's could be talked about for a while now. But I remember Blade said, it ain't going to be Gan, and we're going to leave it like that. Because Cyril Gan is the king of ducking. He's just the fucking king of ducking. Listen, Blades has way more experience in this fight. That's why I'm going to pick him. But I'm going back to Cyril Gan here. Gan just. I had such high hopes for Cyril Gan. Like, I've watched all of his career. I think that I haven't missed a Cyril Gan fight since maybe his debut. I've watched all of them, and the dude is so talented. The dude is a bag of talent, but that's the problem. You have people like Owen Elliott who are just a bag of hard work, and you have people like Cyril Gane who are just a bag of talent. Like he's openly said he doesn't really train. Now I don't know if that's just him saying that, to get rage bait and stuff like that. Because that's when he was fighting Jones. He was like, "I do not train. I just want to fight for the title, Thomas Brindle." Do you know what I mean? He just says shit like that. That was a good Gan. That was a good Gan impression. You can't even lie. You cannot lie. And I just feel like he just rage baits people, but he just completely ducks everyone. And Curtis Blades is no exception. Curtis Blades would be a terrible stylistic matchup for Cyril Gane in areas. Okay, he wouldn't be able to deal with Blades' grappling, but he would have Blades on the feet. I don't think Gane has necessarily that much power in his hands. He's like a butterfly, but he doesn't sting like a bee, if you know what I mean. He doesn't sting like a bee. He just kind of dances around the cage and really proddles and dawdles. Whereas Curtis Blades is much more kind of stiff on the feet. I don't know why I'm talking about Gan versus Blades as if this is happening, but I want to talk about Cyril Gan because it's a heavyweight fight. I feel like Blades would definitely win that. And I feel like Blades has way more experience in his fight against Kuniev. I don't see Kuniev being able to deal with the strikes. Blades will get him down. Blades will probably hold him out in the first, and Blades will get him out there in the second. Do you know what I mean? So I'm going to go Curtis Blades for your second round TKO on that one. Next up, Rafael Fiziev is making quite a decent enough turnaround as he's been taking on Ignacio Bam Bahamondes. Bahamondes. Rafael Fiziev is like one of those fighters that we all just love to watch on a Saturday night. I feel like Fiziev's striking really kind of like was at a peak there for a while in like 2022, 2021, because I actually had picked him to beat Justin Gaethje. I wasn't doing videos back then, but I was picking Viziev to win that fight. And I remember when he like chinned Moicano and then he chinned Brad Riddell. I feel like that's when I thought this guy's striking is the truth. This guy's striking is going to be next level. But he never kicked on when he lost to Gaethje in a close fight, very close fight, and he lost in a close fight there a few months ago. I feel like that's maybe his ceiling. And it was fucking insane to me that Rafael Fiziev was a favorite against Justin Gaethje on I think it was a week's notice or some shit like that, or a few weeks' notice, and he had lost to him. And he had that bad knee injury. We all remember the Moicano KO. Hurts even saying it. The Moicano KO was one of the most beautiful combinations that you will see a UFC fighter land in that cage. And Rafael Fiziev has that fucking flair about him. Now he does have his hands full here at the weekend. Ignacio, he's got good striking. This is a fucking banger fight. I am actually looking forward to this a lot. Ignacio's doesn't have the experience though. That's what I'm kind of looking out for. I don't see any big names in his resume. I don't see him in there against the Renato Moicanos. I don't see him in there against the Justin Gaethjes. You know what I mean? I don't see him in there against the Rafael dos Anjoses, even the Brad Riddells. These are all pillars to get to, like the Makachevs. And that's why I'm going to be picking Rafael Fiziev. I think his striking is going to be too slick. It's going to be hard to bet against Fiziev in a striking match, even though Gaethje did win. But I remember that was the first time in Gaethje's career where he utilized his jab, and like the memes afterwards were so fucking funny. They were all just like it was Floyd Mayweather with Justin Gaethje's picture, and it was like if Justin Gaethje used his jab more. So listen, I made a whole video on Justin Gaethje. Go check that out. I don't even want to talk about him because he's one of my favorite fighters in the sport. But you talking there like he deserves something, and he doesn't. He's even said like they owe me a championship fight. They don't owe you anything, mate. They don't owe you anything. You probably got paid millions to fight Max Holloway, and you're saying they owe you. It's not an exhibition fight. You got fucking slept. Anyway, I'm going to be picking Rafael Zeev to win this one. I think experience goes a long way. I'm a big experience fan. Um, Experienced man, like I think that goes a long way with people's fights, especially against people that does not have it. You'll know more. This is a massive step up, Ignacio as well. So I'm going to go Rafael Zeev via decision on this one. I think this is going to be a good scrap where Zeev will probably be just one step ahead every time, and I feel like he'll get this one done. So I'll go with Zeev 29-28 on that one. Now, main event mania time. We have Jamahal Hill versus Khalil Rountree Jr., baby. Let's go. I've been waiting for this one. And I made a video. I made a video when this fight got announced, and I said Jamahal Hill is going to knock out Khalil Rountree. And I thought Jamahal Hill isn't done yet. And as much as I still stand by that, I can so see Khalil Rountree fucking chinning him. Now, I'm not picking Khalil Rountree. I actually am picking Jamahal Hill because I'm going to stand on my prediction. But I thought about it a bit more. He got a fucking chin there in January. Now, it is June, so he has that while to recover. But he got chinned by Pereira the time before that. You go through a war against Yuri Prohaska like he did in January. And this fight got announced like maybe March or April, or I don't know when this fight got announced. April, I'd say. And that's quite a quick turnaround for the fight that Jamahal Hill had against Yuri Prohaska. I feel like that needs time, but I also think Khalil Rountree gets a lot of hype just from getting finished from Alex Pereira, whereas Jamahal Hill lost all of his hype from getting chinned by Alex Pereira. Now they were completely different fights, of course. Jamahal Hill got slept badly, and Khalil Rountree made it a very entertaining, very close fight, but I still think, like I've said, I'm an experienced fan. I think experience goes a long way. I think Jamahal Hill has fucking boatloads of it. This dude's a former fucking champion. People need to put respect on his name. Khalil Rountree, I haven't seen it. You beat Anthony Smith. Okay. That's his best win. But that was like near a year and a half ago as well. Now, Hill hasn't won since Hill hasn't probably won in like 2.5 years. Actually, now that I think about it, the last win he got was Glover Teixeira, I believe. But he fought Alex Pereira and he fought Yuri Prohaska, like two insane middleweights. What man about two insane light heavyweights, and I just feel like he's had the experience against this dude's actually got a good resume, like Glover, Thiago Santos, Johnny Walker. These are some good names on his resume. Okay, you fought Jamal Hill has fought like the whole division basically. Do you know what I mean? He even fought like Paul Craig and stuff like that. I remember watching that live. I was like, Jesus, that's brutal. Um, I picked him in. I actually remember sending Jamal Hill a message, and I said, "How much do I bet on you becoming champion?" He never fucking replied, dickhead. If he did, I would have been flexing all over the place. But that's a funny one. I sent that back in like 2020 or something like that, and then he won the belt. I was like, "That's pretty sweet." But I just feel like Jamal Hill's experience in this fight, stylistically, Hill's got insane boxing. Hill's got very good boxing. I picked him to knock out Yuri Prohaska. I was confident in that pick. I was just like, I feel like Hill gets that one done. Stylistically, I thought it was a great stylistic matchup for Hill to come back to. Khalil Rountree's going to go in there and use a lot of kicks, which I am confident can land on Hill. I don't think he is the best leg kicking checking game. I don't think Jamal Hill checks any leg kicks, actually, now that I think about it. I think he's fucking brutal at checking leg kicks. And that's going to be a big downfall of his in this fight. Pereira kind of had like a bit of succession with the leg kicks early on in that fight, as long as it lasted, really. And Khalil Rountree is going to have success with those kicks. But I also just think I haven't seen Khalil Rountree even beat a top level opponent like Jamal Hill has. He beat Glover, who was like the number one, apart from Yuri Prohaska, in the world at the time. He beat the stepping stone that was Johnny Walker. He beat the stepping stone that was Thiago Santos in extremely impressive fashion. He shut down Glover Teixeira in Brazil on short notice. As much as this has, been the past and whatever, I still feel like that championship skill set I've seen Jamal Hill have in his career is going to be able to get this one done. I'm just so fucking worried about his chin. He didn't have the best chin before, and you're going through a war with Yuri Prohaska, which was a fucking banger fight. And now you're just kind of walk into a Khalil Rountree who has a good chin, who was taking Pereira shots that you weren't taking. It's going to be dangerous, but I don't think Khalil Rountree has necessarily mad power. Do you know what I mean? It's not like he's Pereira. It's not like he's Yuri. Do you know what I mean? Khalil Rountree's going to go in there and just kind of like use a lot of kicks, and he's going to be able to find Hill's chin. But I don't think he's got very good combinations though, around you. That could be where he finds success in the pocket combination. Maybe knocks Jamal Hill out that way instead of finding that one big shot that Alex Pereira fights. I could see Khalil Rountree getting a combination going in the middle of the cage and slipping Jamal Hill. Maybe Jamal Hill comes up with like an uppercut or a check left hook or a right hook, and then just gets caught and the fight's over. Something like that. But I also think Jamal Hill's stand up boxing is going to be way better than Khalil Rountree's in this fight. Khalil Rountree definitely has kick game, but Jamal Hill by far has the better boxing. Way better boxing. One of the best boxers in the UFC in Jamal Hill, is my opinion. Maybe not so much anymore. Maybe like a top 20 boxer in the UFC, I would say. Before I had him a top 10, to be honest with you. Like, I thought this dude was fucking sick. It's a bit of a shame we didn't get to see him versus Yuri for the belt, back when he had the belt because of the whole injury and stuff like that. This is how you do UFC. You have an injured champion and you let them vacate. Both of them, I always have much respect for Jamal Hill. So many people hate on him, okay? Yeah, okay, he had like the moment in the PI with Pereira and he had like, I'm going to knock him out standing. I'm not going to shoot takedowns if y'all remember that. I like Jamal Hill. I don't know why everyone hates him. I think he's entertaining. I think he's slick with it. I think he's good. I think he's going to get this one done via second round TK. Actually, we'll go third round TKO on that one, but let me know what you think about this whole card down below. It's banging. I was fucking dead sick, but we still got a good chunk of the card. We got the whole card in, so let me know what you think down below, and thanks for watching.